The year is 2038. In the quiet city of Ashbridge, people lived ordinary lives. Nothing unusual ever happened there. One rainy evening, Daniel Carter, a 35-year-old crime photographer, was walking home after covering an accident. As he passed beneath an old street lamp, something strange caught his attention. His shadow didn't move correctly. When Daniel stopped walking, one shadow stopped with him. But another shadow kept moving for a few more seconds before slowly returning to his feet. He looked around. Thinking he was simply exhausted, Daniel ignored it and continued home. But strange things began happening every night. Sometimes the second shadow appeared beside him. Sometimes it disappeared completely. Then one night, his security camera recorded something impossible. While Daniel slept peacefully in bed, a second shadow silently stood beside him, watching, motionless, until sunrise. Daniel had no idea that his life was about to become a nightmare. Unable to explain what he had seen, Daniel installed more cameras throughout his apartment. Every recording showed the same terrifying phenomenon. Whenever the lights went out, the second shadow appeared. It never attacked. It never spoke. It simply watched. Soon the strange events became worse. Objects moved by themselves. Doors slowly opened. Mirrors reflected movements Daniel had never made. His neighbors claimed they had seen him standing outside at night. Even though he had never left his apartment, sleep became impossible. Daniel began researching ancient legends and psychological disorders, hoping to find an answer. Instead, he discovered a forgotten case from 30 years earlier. Another man in the same city had reported seeing two shadows. Days later, he disappeared without a trace. The investigation had never been solved. Daniel realized he was following the exact same path. Determined to uncover the truth, Daniel traced the old case to an abandoned government research facility, hidden beneath the city. Inside, dust-covered computers and damaged files revealed a classified experiment known as Project Echo. Years ago, scientists had attempted to study parallel dimensions using quantum energy. The experiment failed. According to the reports, a dimensional fracture had opened for only a few seconds. But something crossed over. Not a person. Not an animal. A living shadow. The files described these entities as silent copies that attached themselves to human minds. They learned. They observed. And eventually, they replaced their hosts. Daniel suddenly heard footsteps behind him. He turned around. No one was there. Only two shadows stretched across the floor. One belonged to him. The other did not. Daniel rushed out of the laboratory, but the second shadow followed him everywhere. That night, during a violent thunderstorm, the lights inside his apartment suddenly failed. Darkness swallowed every room. Then, the shadow finally spoke. Its voice sounded exactly like Daniel's. It claimed it had existed beside him for years, growing stronger every time he feared it. It didn't want to kill him. It wanted to become him. As lightning flashed through the windows, the shadow slowly separated from the wall, taking the shape of a human figure. Daniel fought desperately, refusing to surrender his identity. Using the laboratory's research, he activated a portable quantum device he had recovered earlier. A blinding burst of light filled the apartment. The shadow screamed as it was pulled back toward the dimensional fracture. For a moment, everything became silent. Weeks later, life appeared normal again. The police closed the investigation after finding no evidence of the strange events. Daniel returned to work, believing the nightmare was finally over. One evening, while photographing the city skyline at sunset, he looked down. Only one shadow followed him. He smiled for the first time in weeks. Then his phone vibrated. It was a new photograph. He had never taken it. The image showed Daniel standing alone beneath a street lamp. But behind him, a second shadow smiled directly at the camera. Daniel slowly turned around. There was no one there. Only silence. The screen suddenly went black. A whisper echoed through the darkness. "You never escaped." Then,